My name is Cole Miller. I'm a former professional mixed martial arts fighter. I currently have my own mixed martial arts gym, two martial arts studios, and I provide Middle Georgia with the premier experience with martial arts and fitness education. Before I found MMA, I grew up in a house that had a lot of fighting. I had a younger brother, so me and my brother Micah, we were 3 years apart. We were rambunctious, and we grew up in the era where it was just always fighting. Around the time I was 19, just after graduating, I had stopped playing baseball. I was working at this bagel bakery that I worked at in Macon, and I wasn't really doing much of anything, just kind of making some sandwiches, putting some gas money in the car, paying for my car insurance, just not really enjoying going to college. I was just doing it to make my parents leave me alone, was really the main reason that I was going there. And I had a friend of mine. He had graduated a couple years ahead of me from the same high school I had gone to. He came in and he had a black eye and a half. It was like a purple eye and then like the yellow eye where the other one had been healing. I said, like, what the hell happened to you? And he said, oh, I train mixed martial arts. And so I went in and started training, and that was it for me. When I was fighting amateur MMA, or still kind of being called NHB or no holds barred at that time, it was a very underground type of sport. I mean, if you said, oh, it's kind of like the UFC, people still didn't even know what the UFC was. And you're like, it's like the cage fight. They still didn't even know what that was. Most people still had never seen it. The way I kind of went from being in fighting as an amateur in Macon and making it to the UFC was I had a manager who was trying to just get me into the UFC. And my manager was communicating with him, hey, what do we got to do? Who do we got to fight? What do we got to do to get Cole in? And we got me a fight in Richmond, Virginia, which is where the matchmaker lived. So I went and fought a local guy for a belt. I was brought in to lose. I was fighting a guy who had big, heavy knockout, one-punch power. It was in his hometown, and the promoter offered me more money if I came up without a tournament. So that's obviously to put more in favor of the hometown guy. Like, who's going to come without a coach? The coach keeps you safe, gives you the instruction. But I was just like dumb and also wanted to make more money. And I was like, oh, I got this. So I went up there and I fought that guy. I did end up winning, but I did take some shots. And that was the moment where the UFC truly had eyes on me and was paying attention to what I was doing. Talking about the Ultimate Fighter is kind of odd because it was 16 years ago now, so it's a long time. So I really have memories of memories, and so I know that this is like a big thing because it was the gateway for me to make it to the UFC. And the matchmaker already knew they wanted me to get in, and it was at the perfect time. They were already doing this show, so it was my method of getting on. I was going to have to at least win a fight on the show, and I did. I won the first fight in that tournament, so it was good. It was cool to come out with a win, and it guaranteed myself a slot to be able to fight on the Ultimate Fighter finale, which is that's your first UFC fight, technically. as far as enjoyability, it was like a bunch of dudes living in a house with conflicting personalities. So it wasn't the best time, but it was one that definitely had some unforgettable moments. Toughest, most hard-fought victory was probably when I fought George Riedel. I was a purple belt at the time. It was my 4th UFC fight, and I just had a lot of stuff going into the fight where I had some mishaps, some sicknesses, some weight cutting issues, some injuries in the training camp. And then in the fight, I ended up having several lacerations, ended up getting my knee torn, it blew up. I had to have a surgery after that fight. So kind of overcoming a lot of stuff to work into that victory, which I got submission of the night for, which was incredible. Nice to have that little extra bonus.
He's not controlling. He's a triangle attempt here by Cole Miller. He sinks it in.
It's going to be very difficult, but does he have it?
He's got it locked up, Mike.
Can he finish it?
He's got to pull the head.
Can he do it?
George Riedel is in deep
30 seconds remains. Gurgel trying to survive.
Yves Levine is looking very carefully at him.
If he survives, he may get the decision.
Now.
20 seconds remains.
He's in deep trouble.
15 seconds.
He's
It's all over.
Unbelievable.
George Gurgel tapped out. Cole Miller is the victor.
Being an MMA fighter is not for everybody. When people think, oh, it must be tough. Yeah, it's you don't really have an idea. You know, like just saying a word doesn't even describe it. If you go and you watch what the guys are doing day in, day out, what they put their bodies through, what they put their minds through, you are constantly going through evolutions to get to the next tier. You're literally fighting to get to the top every day. Some people might think that it's gonna, you know, lights, glamour, getting paid. It ain't none of that. It's a constant grind. It's constantly stepping up and getting knocked down. You live in these parallels of like really extreme highs and really low lows.
You guys are really wanting to stay fixated on the finish. You don't get the finish till you do step 1 right.
I had always wanted to have my own academy, always. And so when I first started training, I was like, I'm going to do this forever. So I'll fight. I know I can't fight forever. One day you're going to be 70 years old, you hope anyways. But so I had always known it was something that I wanted to do. And I had been wanting to have my own school. And I knew I wanted to do it here in Middle Georgia, but I was living in South Florida. And I knew that I wanted to do it, but constantly having training camps to go do, and if I had opened sooner here, I wouldn't have had the help, you know, so I knew that I was going to have to be married to this place, so to speak. For the most part, I want to help the regular guy or the regular girl or the regular kid. You want to come in here, we want to train jiu-jitsu, or we want to train some type of striking martial art, or learn how to mix these martial arts for self-defense or some grappling competition, or maybe you have some amateur MMA goals. I'm happy to help get you there. And that's what I like to do. I wanted to be able to make the maximum impact possible. And I knew that the only way I would be able to do that is by sharing the knowledge that I've gained with others. Transition from fighter to coach is a little, it was difficult because when you become an instructor, you have to take more of a internal look at yourself and your students, and you're constantly evaluating what holes need to be filled, but also you need to work on yourself as well. You can't just give up on you. You need to be constantly evolving as well so you can continue to help your students. I've worked with several fighters. The main fighter I work with is Jesse James Wallace. He was already an established veteran when he came on board and joined our team, and definitely made maximum impact here. I hope that, you know, we've contributed to some of his success and evolution as a martial artist as well.
After about 2 months of me being here, I got the call to go to the UFC on Dana White's Contender Series, and he hadn't even known me that much, but he dropped everything and came with me to Vegas and just made sure that I was like the #1 priority, and that meant a lot to me. That like he had my back right away and didn't even know me that well, but that like sold me on it. You know, when he just left his gym, let somebody else teach, and just dipped with me to Vegas to take the biggest fight of my life. That meant a lot to me. So from then on, we've been boys. Definitely took me under his wing, treats me like a little brother, the good and the bad, you know. But I love it. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
So it's like I gotta put sprinkles in here for so it's like blue, purple. It's like a blue belt.
For me, I'm just going to keep going on my mission, educate and impact. So you'll see me here on the mats. I'll be teaching jiu-jitsu. I'll be teaching Muay Thai. I'll be teaching MMA. I'll be doing seminars teaching those things at different schools around the country. I'll be putting on, combatives courses here in our local community or going elsewhere to work with military or law enforcement in defensive tactics realms. That's what I like to do. I'll be training. I'll be teaching. I'm just going to keep going doing that.